Good morning, guys. Online student, please check your audio and video settings, please. Online students, am I audible? Am I audible? Am I loud and clear? Voice is not clear. Is everything okay? Are you good? Super. Audio not clear. Audio not clear. I don't know what's the problem. Tell them. And yesterday we completed what module? Spring Boot core module, right, guys? Why is there issue, Nathan? Spring core module, guys. So let's revise very quickly about various things in core module so that we can go to next discussion. We can happily go to what, guys? Next discussion. Single line statements about various topics of the core module. What is that? Spring Boot. The Java class whose object is created and managed by whom, guys? Spring container. What is IOC container? The container that is given by Spring Boot framework having ability to perform lifecycle management, dependency management is called as what? What is IOC? IOC is a software specification that provides rules and guidelines that are required for dependency management. Dependency lookup, dependency injection are the two implementation models of IOC. What is dependency lookup, guys? The target Spring Bean searches and gets dependent Spring Bean class object. What is dependency injection, guys? The underlying container or server framework dynamically assigns Python. The underlying container or server or container or framework dynamically assigns what is that, guys? Dependent class object to target class object. Agree with me, my dear? Come on. What is set injection? Okay. Okay. Let's revise. We are revising the subject and this document will be there forever with you, right? And don't behave like a school going kids. Document with you, this is revision and you are asking, but please repeat the definitions. I hope you are not a corona student. Please don't behave like a corona engineer, please. Okay. Next one. Set injection. What do you mean by set injection, guys? The IOC container uses what, guys? Setter method of the target class to inject dependent class object to target class object. Construct injection. IOC container uses parameterized constructor to create target Spring Bean class object and to also inject what? Dependent Spring Bean class object to target Spring Bean class object. Are you getting my point there, guys? Next one is what we have got, guys. Field injection. IOC container assigns dependent Spring Bean class object to target Spring Bean class object has a property to assign dependent class object to target class object. You simply assign dependent class object to target class object. Alright, to the has a property, it will access that object. Arbitrary method injection. Tell me, guys. IOC container uses one or other @auto random method. Come on, to assign dependent class object to for setter injection, constructor injection, field injection, arbitrary method injection. What is the annotation we should use? @auto void. Wiring means injection. Auto wiring means automatically dependent is picked up. and injected. When ambiguity problem comes, other annotation comes into picture. Otherwise, at the rate auto void can detect the dependent, can inject the dependent to target dynamically based on their type of the properties or not, guys. Yet stereotype annotations. What annotations, guys? Multiple annotation having similar functionality with small changes is called as what? Are called as what? Stereotype annotation. What is the most common functionality of stereotype annotation? No. Making Java class as Spring Bean. Configuring Java class as Spring Bean. Okay, but component is doing that work and remaining stereotype annotations are extension of component, but remaining annotations are giving some additional functionality. At the rate service is giving what? Spring Bean comes service class behavior. So automatic transaction management they take care na boss. At the rate repository class, at the rate component plus additional functionality. What is that additional functionality? Translation underlying exception, JDBC exception to Spring specific exceptions or not, guys? At the rate configuration, Spring Bean come configuration class. So that means at the rate controller, Spring Bean come web controller, so that it can take and process HTTP requests given by browser. It can take and process various types of HTTP requests, guys. Are you understanding my statement? Super boss. Okay, what is this stereotype? Multiple annotation performing similar or same operation with minor changes. Okay, at the rate component, service, repository, controller, configuration, and etc. All these annotations can make Java classes as what? Spring Bean. Java classes as what? Spring Bean. Clear, my dear? What do you use of at the rate auto void? Spring Bean to Spring Bean injection, we have to use at the rate auto void. What's the use of at the rate value? To inject the simple values collected from property files. Simple values collected from system properties. Simple values collected from environment variable. Okay, to inject hard-coded values also. We can take the support of value annotation. Super. What's the use of at the rate component scan? It helps the IOC container to scan given packages and to identify the classes that are marked with stereotype annotation. Only to scan and get stereotype annotation marked classes. As part of pre-instantiation, if scope is singleton, they will be instantiated object creation. Okay, if scope is not singleton, whenever need is there, their object will be created. Yes or no? Tell me, these components can just identify the classes, also makes them as Spring Beans. Just identify the classes that are annotated with what? Stereotype annotation. Everywhere or only in the specified package? Only in the specified package and their sub-packages also. Only in the specified package and sub-packages. I hope you got it, guys. Come on. Super. Yeah, tell me next one. At the rate property source, guys, to configure property file with what? Right. At the rate primary, if one target property of target Spring Bean, if multiple similar dependents are available, there is a possibility of getting ambiguity problem. To solve that ambiguity problem, at the rate primary is one solution, at the rate qualifier is another solution. Super. How to link one configuration class with Spring Bean configuration file with configuration class? At the rate import resource. Yes or no? How to link Spring Bean configuration file, XML file with configuration class. For that one MF, the rate import source is there or not there? How to make Java class as configuration class? At the rate configuration. Yes or no? Na? How to make predefined class as Spring Bean? By using at the rate bean method inside the configuration class. Right, guys? Okay, how to specify scope for Spring Bean? At the rate scope. What's the default scope? Singleton. What are the other scopes? Prototype, request, prototype, request, session, application, and WebSocket. What is the mostly used as scope, guys? Default scope, guys. Okay. What's the use of lazy annotation? By default, singleton scope beans are pre-instantiated. That means the moment content is created, objects are created. No, sir. Those scope is singleton. I want one object, but that object should be created on demand basis. That object should be created on demand basis. Is that clear, guys? The object should be created on demand basis. Are you understanding my statement, my dear? Super, guys. That is what, guys? At the rate lazy. Okay. Spring Bean life cycle, guys. Come on. Spring Bean life cycle. Are container take care of every activity of Spring Bean birth to death. But I want to execute my logic when important life cycle events are happening in Spring Bean life cycle. IOC containerizes how many life cycle events in Spring Bean life cycle? What are those? Instantiation event, destruction event. Instantiation event rises right after object creation or right after all injections are completed. Right after all injections are completed, right, boss? Right after all injections are completed. Agree with me, my dear. Come on. Right after all injections are completed. Okay, boss. Tell me now. Okay, in this init life cycle method, that is called init life cycle method, what kind of logics we write? We write two types of logics. Number one, initializing leftover properties that are not participating in the injection. Number one. Number two, validating whether bean properties are injected with the correct values or not. Two important activities will happen or not, guys. Second life cycle event is what? Distraction event. What is the life cycle method that will be called destroy life cycle method? How to configure destroy life cycle method? At the rate pre-destroy. Init life cycle method? At the rate post-construct. Right, guys? At the rate pre-destroy, at the rate post-construct. Final, boss. Right, boss? What kind of logic we write in pre-destroy method? Tell me. We write the logic of nullification or not, guys? We definitely write the logics of nullification or not, guys? Super, guys. Additional features of application context container over the bean factory container. Right, boss? Come on. Pre-instantiation of singleton scope Spring Beans number one. Annotation driven configuration, Java config driven configuration. Are you getting my point? Ability to work with property file by recognizing the placeholders. Got it, guys? Support of IoT and event handling, ability to stop or close the IOC container. These are the additional features that are there in what? Application context container compared to bean factory container. Is that clear, boss? Come on. Super. Right. So now let's begin and let's start working with the Spring Boot. So day one of Spring Boot, I designed in a generic manner. So generally, I will tell you, it look like little boring also for you people. Actually, we can skip it. but somehow I am interested to revise kind of thing. Earlier, I used to give two entries in this course. The day I start Spring Core, the day I start Spring Boot Core. Because earlier I used to have a lot of old students who already know Spring but wants to upgrade to Spring Boot. That's why they used to join from Spring Boot onwards, not from Spring onwards. So that's why Spring Boot first session I kept in very generic manner. We talk less about Spring Boot, more about what Spring Boot can do, what capability of, what it is capable of. So that's why some of the terminology looks like you already heard. Using Spring Boot, I can develop standalone application. I talk something about standalone. Web application, I talk something about web application. Distributed application, I talk something about what? Distributed application. But looks like a web application, distributed application, we already spent the time in the introduction classes, right? Okay, that part looks a little repeating concept, but I'm going to talk about using Spring Boot. We can also develop microservice architecture application, which we have not heard so far. Today I'm going to introduce. Come on, guys. What is the difference between normal application and microservice architecture application? All these are what overuse only. Because next few days, once we got programming knowledge of Spring Boot, we are going to first develop standalone application. For a few days, persistence logics we develop. That means database interaction. Then website development. Then distributed application development. Lastly, microservice architecture development. Right? So that means I am presenting Spring Boot by assuming people are joining straight away with the Spring Boot by having Spring knowledge long back. So like that I designed my first session of this Spring Boot core. So by seeing this session, don't come to conclusion. Sari is teaching the same subject one more time. No. Day one is a generic subject. Day one is what? A generic point. Tomorrow onwards, we will get into what Spring Boot and how it is different from Spring. What is the additional feature of Spring Boot that gives some advantage due to coding. To do coding. So shall we get into that discussion, guys? Okay. What's our batch code? 1102. What's the folder? Spring. What's the topic, guys? Need